Go ahead and roll for perception.
I got an 18.
Ooh, 18 is really good. With that, you can see some advertising space available.
So you're telling me if I have a product YouTube channel or podcast that I want advertised, I could do it here?
That's right, and you can get more details by emailing the Dungeoncast@gmail.com.
Awesome. I'll have to do that. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Will.
I'm Brian.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything Dungeons & Dragons, from blunted blades to blazing blast. And today, we're covering blue dragons. All right, Brian. It's time to talk about my favorite dragon.
Your favorite dragon?
My favorite dragon? Blue dragons.
Super biased. I don't know if I can trust you for this episode.
I am going to try and keep this as unbiased as possible.
Okay.
I'm sure a little bit of my biasm is going to bleed through.
Biasm.
Is that even a word?
Biasness?
Biasness? Whatever.
Biased.
I'm gonna try and be unbiased about this, but I think I'm gonna show everybody just how cool blues are.
I think it's just your bias.
I think so. So, blue dragons. They're also known as storm dragons, and they are considered to be the second most powerful amongst the major 5 chromatic dragons. They're in some ways the most vainglorious of all dragons, or of all chromatic dragons, I should say, when it comes to their power and their achievement. Their arrogance is different from reds in kind of a specific way. So while a red dragon's arrogance is kind of a entitled arrogance, a more like I am the best because it is so and everything is mine by right. A blue dragon is more along the lines of a thought process of I am the best because I've proven it. I've taken, I've kept, I've conquered, and now I rule. Challenge me if you will, but you will lose.
Oh, man.
That's the attitude of blue versus a red.
Okay.
So yeah, both arrogant, but kind of in different ways.
The red dragon's like, my truck is bigger than yours, and the blue dragon's like, I built that truck.
Yeah, very much so. There you go.
They both have raised trucks, and they're just going to race them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So blues have quite a few unique physical characteristics that separate them from other dragons. First, of course, being their blue scales, which range in hue from iridescent azure to deep indigo. Mm-hmm. So basically any blue.
Any
blue.
Are you? So I always pictured crayon blue. The color, just straight up blue.
Yeah. Well, I guess we don't really talk about this, but dragons aren't uniformly colored. Like a red dragon, its scales can be any shade of red.
Oh.
It's wide and varied, and then it's the same with blues. Wide and varied.
So it's easier to differentiate them.
Very much so.
Oh, so can you get some if you got a purple dragon is somewhere in between the red and the blue dragon?
Yeah, sure.
Is it like that? Or
well, what do you mean?
Do you get some dragons where it's I don't know, man, he's almost purple. So
I mean, yeah, I think you would, but again, all the dragons have very unique physical features outside of
that pair with
color.
those. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the horns, basically.
Exactly. Speaking of which, probably the second most prominent feature the blues have is a prominent and massive ridged horn that spikes out of their skull, kind of like a triceratops, but only one big horn instead of 3.
Just one big dome piece.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, nice.
They also have small hornlets that kind of make rows along their brow ridges from nostril to ears.
Like Darth Maul.
Yeah, kind of. Nice. Blues have short snouts with underslung lower jaws, with clusters of blade-like scales on their chin and on their cheeks.
Ooh.
They have sharp teeth that protrude from their mouth even when it's closed, much like a crocodile.
Okay.
You ever seen a crocodile just chilling?
Yeah.
And you can see the teeth kind of hanging over its lips?
Yeah.
Blues are like that.
Nice. Okay.
They're
scary.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit menacing.
Their face is a weapon, their whole face.
Exactly.
The top of it, the bottom of it.
Yeah, every angle.
So they could just ram, impale you, and then those little horns at the end, they just rotate their head back and forth.
Very much so. Their ears are dramatically frilled, and its tail, blue dragon's tails, are notably very thick and blunt. When used as a weapon, it's more like a battering ram than like a whip.
A stubby, is it stubby? I'm picturing
it's not that stubby.
Is it a tree trunk?
No, it's not like a tree trunk. It's not that thick. It is notably thicker than pretty much any other dragon. Most dragons have very long, thin tails.
So this is more like you ripped the tail off of a lizard that got away and it grew back. Like
Komodo
that.
Dragon. There we go. Have you seen a Komodo dragon's tail?
Okay,
it's a lot
perfect.
like a Komodo dragon's tail.
Nice.
Almost exactly like that.
I got a good visual, so not like the thing I was thinking.
Exactly.
Yes.
But yeah, there you go. Also, blue dragons have notably short necks. Like reds have very long necks. So do greens. So do blacks. So do whites. So yeah, only blues have the short neck.
So they're drawn like a character in Bob's Burgers.
I guess so. I guess they're all Bob's Burgers characters. Blue dragons hides, hum, and crackle with electricity. And this effect intensifies when a blue is angered or excited and gives off a very powerful smell of ozone.
Oh, that's intense.
Yeah.
Ozone.
Yeah. So ozone is, like when it's cloudy outside and it's like about to rain and you can just kind of tell, you can kind of smell it in the air. You're smelling ozone when that's happening.
Oh, that is, there's a word for it. It starts with the P.
Precipitation?
No. It's the smell before rain. There's a word for it.
Well, yeah, okay.
It's ozone.
It's ozone, but I don't know the word you're talking about, but I'm sure it exists.
It does.
Okay.
Pretend I said it.
We'll look it up after the show. Though their wings are not as large as reds. Again, in the reds episode, we talked about how reds have like the largest wings in relation to their body size. Blue dragons' wings are more pronounced than a red's and are just as wide in relation to their bodies. Furthermore, the wings of a blue are more flexible than any of the other chromatics, probably for better maneuverability in their stormy environments.
Okay.
Regardless, blues are the single most skilled flyers of the major five, and between their long-reaching lightning breath and the fact that they also have the keenest eyes of dragonkind, they excel at flying combat and artillery attacks.
Damn.
That's their specialization. They attack from the sky, and they never leave the fucking sky, because why would they?
they're on board with
they are the
metagaming.
Exactly. They are the metagamers of the dragon world.
Nice.
So yeah. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about their scales, not only are they blue, and that's unique, but blue dragons have a glossiness to their scales, almost like glass, and it's supposedly from having a finer polish from the sands of their chosen territories.
Okay, nice.
But yeah.
So I don't know when this. I've been struggling with bringing this up because we're doing individual dragons and we've kind of left behind our like group dragon episodes.
Yeah.
What are the so if you kill a dragon and you loot it, what are you doing? I know I've seen a looting in Critical Role, or I've listened to a looting.
Yeah.
Like, are dragon scales, are they full of like? Are they better for weapons, or are they better for armor? Do they house magic power? What's up?
I think traditionally, dragon scales and dragon hide is used for armor.
Okay.
There's a lot of magical armor sets that are like specific, like dragon sets.
Okay. Are they like conductive to magic and people enchant them, or do they carry magic inherently?
I think that it's usually the way it's played out is that dragon body parts, if you will, are kind of naturally infused with magic. Dragons are naturally...
They're magical creatures.
Yeah, they're magical creatures. And they're very much infused with magic, much like the unicorn.
Big evil unicorn.
So like any dragon body part is going to sell like for high amount of gold on the black market or whatever.
Right, like a tooth even.
Yeah, for wizards who want to use them in rituals or spellcasting and all that other stuff. When it comes to finding items, I mean, you could say that a dragon might carry items on them in like a bag of holding kind of way, like in like a little mini magical portal. And I'm not sure, like when a creature dies, what happens to the things it leaves in this little mini dimension? Do they just fall out? I'm not sure. But most items are going to be kept in the hoard because most dragons aren't like actively using items in combat. Yeah.
This is just how it sucks. Just dragons with swords.
Yeah, dragons with swords.
they're flying and they're carrying swords with their back legs.
Breathing lightning.
They're swiping with the front. They're stabbing with the back.
Well, it's the reason that dragons don't use weapons is they are weapons. They are weapons.
I don't need to carry what I am.
Indeed. So unlike the various chromatic cousins of the blues, blue dragons, though evil, lack the cruel and murderous streak in their personality. Rather than torture or angrily murder lesser creatures, they're more likely to simply mock them or manipulate them. Usually in a way that shows off their prowess and skill. They take great pleasure in lording over humanoids just to prove that they can, rather than for any desire of an actual effect.
Are we talking about the broader, when you say humanoid, like the broader scale? Like, are they going to like the troll bridge and being like, I tell better riddles, idiot?
That would be hilarious. But I think more along the lines of the civilized races.
Okay.
Because the thing about dragons is they consider themselves more civilized than the civilized races. So like, I don't think a blue would stoop to like making fun of a troll.
They're like sitting outside the Senate hall, like balcony, like, nice governing, Dan. Good job, idiot.
I love that. That's great. Where was I? So this isn't to say that blues aren't a bit on the cruel, murderous, and violent side. It's just they're markedly less so than other chromatics. Specifically, blacks and reds, especially blacks. Blacks are probably the most evil of the chromatic dragons, and they are truly about murder and torture.
They're about evil stuff. Whereas other dragons are about themselves, which just kind of falls in line with evil stuff because they're just naturally that way.
And reds are violent and murderous, but that's more because they're angry all the time.
Yeah. It's for other reasons. Blacks is for the sake of evil.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much true. With blues, it's all about respect and pride. So when other creatures give them due respect to their pride and territory, blues can actually be quite reasonable and at rare times even pleasant. But they never forget an insult or a slight. Any insinuation of weakness is definitely going to send them into a rage. And it's likely because they have kind of a sore spot for being second best.
Yeah.
I think they're really frustrated with that, especially because they probably feel like the Reds don't earn it.
I mean, we're just talking about Vegeta
versus
lot.
Goku. Yeah. Vegeta
he's been coming up like in several
Honestly,
episodes.
Vegeta comes up a lot in this podcast. I think it's because he's the best Dragon Ball Z character. He's my favorite.
I mean, we're both fans of the show, but yes, if I'm going to pick a favorite like main, like a quote unquote good guy, I guess, then sure, Vegeta.
Yeah, for sure. So blues are extremely territorialist, and their territorialism rivals even that of red dragons, which we talked about in the red dragons episode. They won't fly into a murderous rage over territorial intrusion like a red, but they will attack without explanation pretty oftenly, and they're way more likely to engage in combat with powerful foes over it.
Yeah, remember the other Chromatic Dragons 2 episode? There was the brown and gray. Was the gray the rock one made of stone or whatever?
Yeah.
The boxer dragon.
Yeah, the boxer dragon.
Yeah, I pictured them toe to toe with the blue for sure. And the brown one's a sand one, right?
Brown one's a sand one.
Yeah, and so they're like vying for similar territories.
I think
Cliffside, that's blues, right?
We'll get into the territories a little bit later because there's some discrepancy there.
Okay.
But yeah, blues are known to be in deserts, and I think a blue would knock the shit out of a brown dragon.
Just like pluck it out of the ground.
Yeah, just out of my desert.
Yeah.
But
carry it.
But actually, I think both those dragons are at a huge disadvantage because both those dragons are very landlocked, and blues never land.
Yeah.
So
one's immune to electricity though.
Well, yeah, according to Pokemon rules, yeah. Where was I? Oh yeah, so blue dragons are way more likely to engage with powerful foes over territory, just because they're kind of the bravest of chromatics, and this makes sense because like their entire pride depends on them proving their superiority. So if they back down, like they are by default not superior.
Okay,
and
sure.
They're not about that.
All right.
So that being said, blues are not overly aggressive in combat. It's kind of like what I was saying. They like to stay in the sky. But instead, they're patient and methodical killers, striking on their own terms, usually via ambush with like volleys of lightning out of the sky, soaring out of reach.
Yes.
They wear down their foes by extending combat over hours or even days. They're not in a hurry. They're just like, we'll do this all day. I don't care.
Oh, man. It's doing Pikachu's Thunder Attack. It's like going and bear hugging you and then just letting itself get struck by lightning.
Exactly.
It's terrifying. I pictured that when you talked about like, if it rolls up on you and your party in a storm and like the first thing you see is it like shamble over the cliff and look at you and then it gets struck by fucking lightning. Epic.
That'd be a really
great
cool
way to
scene.
start a fight.
Yeah,
I like
that.
recharge. You know, it's lightning breath in the lightning storm.
I like that idea. That's a good idea. That's really cool.
I'm sorry. I'm almost sorry I said it since you dungeon master for me.
It's cool. The way dragons work in my game is very, very different than the vanilla lore. But back to blues. So blue dragons have a proclivity for the commanding of others. They get a sense of deep enjoyment from doing so. Part of this is from the exercise in their superiority, like ordering people around. Part is from the satisfaction of accomplishing something without any personal effort of their own.
Okay.
So it's just a little laziness. And part is from their unusual, lawful, and orderly mind that they possess compared to other chromatics. They're the only one of the major five that are lawful evil. All the rest of the chromatics are chaotic evil.
Okay.
And they're a very organized and orderly kind of creature. So this organized way of like ordering people around to do stuff just really appeals to them.
Nice.
Yeah. So blues value and cover loyalty and talented minions and servants. Bards, sages, wizards, assassins are all valuable agents to a blue dragon. Some blues even go as far as maintaining peaceful associations with humanoid settlements in their territories.
Okay.
Yeah. So calling on them for loyal service and tribute in exchange for reliable and powerful protection. So they'll straight up protect the people in their territory because they see them as theirs.
Yeah.
And
an extension of
themselves.
Yeah.
Thus they shall be like, don't you fuck with my humans because they're my humans. Only I eat my humans.
And then after the conflict is over, they look at those humans like, you better fucking stay out of here. This is the last time I tell you.
Right.
Yeah. It sounds like a silver dragon. Like silver, I can see a silver dragon operating in really similar ways, becoming a human and like starting a business and like having a bunch of workers in their employ.
Yeah, I can see that.
But, for good. And this is like the other side of this.
Right. Although blues and silvers are natural enemies, there are some Dragonlance novels where they work in tandem.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, they're very efficient.
It's more... I guess spoilers for Dragonlance. There's a scene.
Hang on. Okay, now.
Okay, there's a scene in Dragons of Summer Flame where like everything's going to shit and Chaos the Father of All and nothing is fucking everything up. And basically it's like
the everything dad?
The everything dad is just fucking everything up. And the last alliance of resistance is basically a bunch of silvers and a bunch of blues with their riders who are like the Knights of Takesis and the Knights of Paladine, just kind of riding into the abyss to fight chaos.
Nice.
And what's really cool about it is that the blues are the only chromatics who fucking stay. Everyone else ducks out. Like Takesis, who's basically Tiamat, she just flees. All her children, they all flee. But the blues are like, fuck this, we're staying. Like, we're fighting this motherfucker, and they do it. Man. And I think that's probably why blues are my favorite, because of that book. But yeah, so yeah. Blues and silvers do work in tandem. I've seen it happen.
Cool.
So where was I? Oh yeah, so kind of on the relationship between blues and the people in their territory. It's a beneficial but perverse kind of relationship where the blue views the people as valuable objects in their ownership.
Well, yeah, it's enslavement.
It's essentially enslavement. Although it's like he doesn't usually, like a blue doesn't usually make them do anything. It just like in its mind it could if it wanted to.
It's mild subjugation.
It's mild subjugation.
It's just like I would tell you what to do if it mattered.
Right. So blues kind of really walk this line between lawful evil and lawful neutral. They lack the hatred and cruelty of blacks, the anger of reds, and the ambition of greens.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they had any of those qualities, they'd just be straight up lawful evil.
Yeah.
Their lawful nature also extends even beyond their own personal bubble and into the hierarchical society that makes up the Blue Dragon community. But we'll talk about that after the short rest.
Okay.
All right.
Hey everybody, welcome to the part of the episode we're not talking about the last thing we're talking about. Pop quiz, Will, what are we talking about?
Our love for the audience.
Great answer.
Yeah, well, it's the right answer.
It's the right answer. It's a great answer. We like what you're doing, which is listening to the show. We want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
People that are patrons of the show via our Patreon, we like what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me thank a few of those people personally
and
specifically by their name they put on their Patreon patronship.
Yeah, their patron name.
Patronage. Hang on. I'm getting it.
You got to pull up the list.
Be patient with me, Will. Thank you, Jericho Gabriel Torres.
Thank you, Jericho.
Thank you, Casimir the Bard.
Thank you, Casimir the Bard.
Thank you, Brad Durfee.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, a slacker named Jack. Shit. Thank you, a slacker named Jack.
Thank you, a slacker named Jack.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Not spelled like Aaron. Okay.
Just Aaron.
Thank you, Armin Dunbar.
Thanks, Armin.
Thank you, Sam Daly.
Thanks, Sam.
Scrolling.
Oh man.
It's our birthday. Thanks, everybody. We're even. Oh, there's Sam. Okay. Thank you, Brandon Jackson.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, Adam Edelin.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Garrett Edison.
Thanks, Garrett.
Garrett Eidson? It's E-I-D-S-O-N.
I can't see. It's too far from me.
It's E-I-D-S-O-N.
Eidson.
Thank you. Crap. Thank you, Garrett Eidson. Oh, wait. You already said
Yeah, you already said Garrett.
Oh. Thank you, Jake.
It's just a list, man. Just read the list.
Stop pressuring me. Thank you, Jake Gerhardt.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, Gato del Agua.
Thanks, Gato.
I think that means water cat.
Oh. Yeah, I think it does. Cat of the water.
Thank you, Daniel Shan.
Thanks, Daniel.
That's everybody.
Did you skip Jason there? I see a Jason. You didn't say Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
You're right. There was a Jason there. It's just Jason. I like the single names that are easy to say.
Indeed. Even though you skipped them.
God, I'm so bad at this. Sorry for being so bad at this. I'm paranoid that I'm saying it wrong. I'm almost positive I'm saying it wrong. Sorry about saying it wrong. F-Bats is coming back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
this is news to me.
Yeah,
so.
This is I just remembered it. I was
this is good. Yeah,
that's a Patreon thing. So so everybody, we took a little break and we did record a couple things in the break, but now we're getting back to our normal-ish schedule.
Awesome.
So F-Bats is on his way back. So everybody that's in the $10 tier, you seem to like it. We appreciate that.
It's a really good show.
So thanks a lot. Let's talk about our regular live game actual play.
The one that's not on Patreon.
The one that's not on Patreon. The one that anybody can go see.
Indeed. At our YouTube channel. It's called Super Quest Saga.
Yeah. It's called Super Quest Saga. And it's a sci-fi game.
And it's also a podcast now. So we'll go ahead and put the link in the description. So if you're interested in seeing us here at the Dungeoncast playing D&D, but you're not willing to look at our ugly mugs on YouTube, you don't have to anymore. You can just click the podcast link below and listen to us in your earbuds.
Well, I think you said if you're willing to see us, then they can just go to YouTube. But
yeah,
if you're not willing to see us, but you still want to experience it, you can listen to it.
Exactly.
On podcast catchers of all types, all shapes and sizes.
Indeed. So we're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on any podcast app you can find. Just look up Super Quest Saga. And yeah, it's a cyberpunk game set in space, set in like a futuristic space fantasy environment. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. The story's getting really, really crazy at this point.
Yeah, we started adding some music and sound effects to the more critical parts of the adventure. So that's been really fun.
And yeah, I think that's a wrap.
Let's get back to the show.
And we're back.
Look around. Tell me what you see.
What do I see?
We've returned.
Indeed, we have. And we're back talking about blue dragons. So I was talking about how they have a hierarchical society. So with their highly developed sense of order, paired with their pride and achievement based off of merit, blue dragons have developed a strictly hierarchical society.
It's like the Boy Scouts of America, where they collect badges.
I guess so, sure.
Ate my first livestock batch.
Right. The oldest and strongest blue dragon in any given area acts as an overlord to all the other lesser blue dragons within a certain range. This overlord is called the suzerain. And the suzerain is paid homage by all other blues and is in charge of settling any disputes between subject blue dragons, whether it be concerning territorial disputes or other issues. Any blue dragon is free to challenge the suzerain for a right to rule, but this is rare. A suzerain is suzerain for a reason, and blues are usually very well aware of the power and achievements of their suzerain.
I like the flip on that, where it's like, they're really bad at it. And so they're constantly being challenged, and there's constantly a new one.
Oh gosh, it's supposed to be super rare, but I kind of like that idea too. That's kind of fun. But yeah, no, it's usually really rare. If a blue's unhappy in the rulership of their suzerain, they usually just leave, go to a different area.
What's suzerain? Is that like like dragon speak? No,
it's an actual word. I think it just means monarch. I'll have to look it up again because I ended up looking up, but it just means it's like a monarch or a ruler.
Okay. It's like Tsar or whatever.
Yeah. Except for Tsar is, I think, Russian for king, but it's also Russian for Caesar.
Something like that.
Yeah. Which he was a tyrant.
Can we just call him Papa Blue?
Papa Blue. Big Papa Blue.
Papa Blue.
So
this guy's coming over to my land, Papa.
Right. So even courtship between blue dragons is an orderly affair. It's an elaborate ritual involving the exchanging of food and treasure, the consent of the suzerain, and then an official announcement to the blue dragon community as a whole.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, so it's like a very organized affair. When a mating pair has offspring, blues are noted to be attentive and effective parents, if not very affectionate. This is a marked difference from other chromatics who are very piss poor parents.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They're like cultivating their children to be.
Yeah, because they want their children to exceed because as narcissistic dragons, their children are an extension of themselves.
Right. Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Can't put a ring on it unless you ask Papa Blue. Can't have little love babies
unless you ask Papa Blue.
Unless you ask Papa Blue.
So there are two different takes on the chosen habitat of blue dragons. The 4E version and every other edition's version, which is very common.
Yes.
4E posits that blues prefer coastal areas, seaside cliffs, and mountainous highlands near the sea. Every other version describes blue dragons as desert dwellers. The only commonality between these two versions is that blues prefer weather that is stormy, windy, thunderous, and electric.
Yeah, sure.
If you will.
Lightning.
Lightning brings them great pleasure, basically. It makes sense.
Gross. I didn't know it was a kink.
Anyways, I actually prefer the 4E version myself. For me, it just fits better. Storms in the sea kind of go together. Blue in the ocean.
I mean, the beach is a lot more like the desert than most people think.
I mean, I see, they both have sand, so there's that.
Yeah, you'll die in both places in similar fashion.
Yeah, it's very true.
I mean, why not have both? I'm a little girl from the
basically
commercial.
That's what I was getting to. I kind of in my world I make it both.
Yeah, I mean, regionally that seems acceptable to me. Like if there's a desert, then it's in the desert. If it's the beach, then there might be one there.
Right.
And I was gonna say, is the what was the name of Papa Blue? Now I just want to call him Papa Blue.
The suzerain.
The suzerain. Is the suzerain like in charge of a finite number or territory, or is it just all the blue dragons are coming to the suzerain? Like you got to fucking like.
It's within a certain range, not a defined one, but I would imagine like a suzerain probably rules, I don't know, the size of a small country.
Okay, so there's multiple suzerains.
Oh yeah, there's multiple suzerains.
If you got an area that's very, very big and there's like one blue dragon in it, and it's just like, I am the suzerain. By
default.
I must ask myself if I can loot this village. Or what have you.
I will allow it.
You know what? I think I'm gonna. It's all fat. It can't control itself because it always tells itself yes.
It always tells itself yes. I could see that for sure. Back to the regionality in their terrain. That being said, there is a scant amount of lore of 4E blue dragon layers, like when it comes to their beach layers. So we're going to focus more on the desert versions for the rest of the episode.
I'll tell you, it's like a little hut. It's got a little straw roof.
Sure, absolutely. Just chilling in Hawaii. Most blue dragons are native to arid wastelands and deserts. They make their lairs in underground caves beneath the desert sands. They have the ability to burrow through the sand with ease, kind of like a Garchomp, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Often when choosing a lair location, a blue will take into account any nearby water sources, with an underground oasis being like the pinnacle of an ideal location.
Ooh, yes.
When it comes to food, blue dragons are primarily carnivores with a favored taste for herd animals. They actually prefer to cook their meat with their lightning breath.
Oh, man.
rather than eat it raw. They call it being lightly kissed by lightning.
Ooh.
Just lightly charred, but not cooked all the way through.
I guess. Seems okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's open up a D&D restaurant where we're base one of our cooking techniques off of that.
Kissed by lightning?
Kissed by lightning steak. Did you like your steak kissed by lightning today, sir?
Their preferred food makes them a grave threat to nomadic tribes dependent on shepherding or caravans with like camels and horses and whatnot. They terrorize those. Okay. So, though blues don't have a preferred taste for humanoid flesh, they are not opposed to it either. They will eat humanoids or reptiles for lack of other meat to eat. And they'll even go as far as eating cacti in particularly scarce times.
Oh, okay.
They'll eat whatever, if they have to.
They have to. Mm-hmm. Well, they're in the desert. There's resources are going to be limited at times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unless they live at the beach, like a smart blue would.
Yeah.
So when it comes to their hoard, blues prize collecting jewels and jewelry above all other valuables. And above all other jewels and jewelry, sapphires above all else.
Nice.
They also have
the blue one. The blue one.
Oh, yeah, the blue one. They also have an affinity for visually beautiful artwork.
Ooh, okay.
So they have an eye for good art.
They're going to see your Thomas Kincaid and be like, well, you have to die. I'm going to need this off your wall. Okay, thanks.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the life cycle of blue dragons. Blue dragon eggs incubate for approximately 20 months, and usually in batches of 2 to 4. For the first 7 years of their lives, they're considered wormlings and are watched over at all times by at least one parent. After this, they enter their young stage and are pushed to live independently. It's like, all right, you're 8 years old, get the fuck out.
Well, you can hang at that point.
Yeah, you can hang. Yeah, absolutely.
They're just trying to get you to where you can hang.
Yeah. At 160 years, they finally become adults. At 1,000 years, they're considered elder. And at 1,800 years, they're considered ancient.
God, that first, that coming of age birthday.
I know.
160 years. That's a big cake, man.
Indeed, it is. 2,300 is the average blue lifespan.
Okay.
That's like the upper echelon limit.
That's pretty high.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're dragons.
Well, isn't it high for dragons? Or is that normal for dragons?
For blues, okay, so reds, I think their upper echelon is like 25 to 28.
Oh, okay.
So
they
then
actually live
blues
longer.
are like 23. Yeah, it's the power scaling thing.
Oh,
you live
okay.
longer the more powerful you are, I guess.
Yeah. That's how it works in real life.
I guess so. When an ancient blue dies, it environmentally diffuses, creating a permanent storm in its region. Although the wind rate and the rainfall rises and falls in severity, it never truly stops.
If you're like a farming town and there's a drought, maybe you're trying to look to kill a blue dragon above your house.
Maybe.
You'd be the best farmer in town.
Could you do me a favor and die right over here?
Oh, dude, you're dying. Can I move you to my house?
Seriously. So any questions about blue dragons before we get into their regional effects and their lair actions?
I want to know more about the lair. Sounds cool.
Okay. Well, first regional effects, and then we'll get to the lair actions.
Okay.
The region containing a legendary blue dragon's lair is warped by the dragon's magic, which creates one or more of the following effects. Thunderstorms rage within 6 miles of the lair. That's a pretty good indicator you might have a blue dragon.
Yeah, you become that scene in Breath of the Wild where like the lightning storm's coming and you gotta drop your gear.
Right,
or like change out to your wooden stick or whatever.
Very, very much so. Dust devils scour the land within 6 miles of Lair. A dust devil has the statistics of an air elemental, but it can't fly. It has a speed of 50 feet and has an intelligence and charisma of 1.
Okay, so it's technically a creature?
It's an elemental.
Okay.
Being caused by the magical presence of a dragon. But it's like not quite like a real elemental. It's like a
like when you say
quasi-elemental.
dust devil, that's just like
Yeah, I'm not talking about the actual dust devil thing that happens in real life.
Okay, these are like something else.
Little like
semi-sentient
dust elementals. Yeah.
Okay, because I was saying like I can't sword away or fireball. Maybe I could fireball away a dust devil, but like that's just the weather.
But that's just weather. Yeah. No, these are elemental monsters.
Okay, they're like little shitty.
Yeah, a little shitty.
Elementals.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Hidden sinkholes form in and around the dragon's lair. A sinkhole can be spotted from a safe distance with a successful DC Wisdom save, or check, I should say. Otherwise, the first creature to step on the thin crust covering the sinkhole must succeed on a DC 15 Dexterity saving throw or fall 1d6 times 10 feet into a sinkhole.
Like Pokemon? Like Team Rocket? You know how they're like the only bad guys in modern history, like anime history, to like dig ditches?
What are you talking about?
Like Team Rocket's like main steez for a while was to just like dig a fucking hole and cover it.
Oh yeah.
So you're just dealing with like.
Well, no, these are just
traps.
Natural sinkholes that are just forming in the sands.
Yeah, it's just doing it.
Yeah,
but
it's just doing it.
It works like a pit trap because you can't
that's
see
exactly
over
what it is. It's just a bunch of pit traps everywhere.
That's
That's
so
very annoying. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you take like fall damage?
Yeah, 1d6 times 10. So you take a d6 worth of damage per 10 feet you fall.
Does it say? Did you already tell me how deep these things were?
Each sinkhole is 1d6 times 10, so it's random. So if you roll a d6, it's you roll for it. It's a 40-foot drop. That's 4d6.
Man.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
Oh man, ouch, dude, that really sucks.
Yeah.
And then you gotta get out of there.
Indeed. Yeah, and then you gotta crawl out. That's gotta suck. So lair actions. So on initiative count of 20, here I'm just gonna bring this closer to my eyeballs because my contacts are not being friendly today. On initiative count of 20, the dragon takes a lair action to cause one of the following effects. The dragon can't use the same effect 2 rounds in a row. So again, if you're attacking a dragon in this lair, bad things are going to happen because the very environment is going to start attacking you.
Not using stuff 2 times in a row is like the only limitation they ever put on this thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Plus,
it's like meaningless almost to even. I get like so you don't like spam.
So you don't spam, yeah, because spamming could be a serious problem with some of these effects. So the first effect is part of the ceiling collapses above one creature that the dragon sees within 120 feet of it. The creature must succeed on a DC 15 Dex save or take 3d6 bludgeoning damage and be knocked prone and buried. Oh God. Wow! The buried target is restrained and unable unable to breathe or stand up. A creature can take an action to make a DC 10 strength check, ending the buried state on a success.
I must end the buried state.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough one because that's going to be your turn.
Oh, yeah. And if you don't... If you don't pass that check, like
you're stuck another turn.
Yeah, sorry, wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just gonna be shit in this fucking pile of rock until the barbarian comes and digs you out or whatever.
I really like that layer action. That's a lot of fun.
I mean, you're burning not just you could potentially be burning multiple characters' turns.
Yeah, and doing damage at the same time.
Burning turns is so good.
It is. The second choosable action is a cloud of sand swirls about in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point the dragon can see within 120 feet of it. The cloud spreads around corners. Each creature in the cloud must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or be blinded for a minute. A creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success.
Oh, man.
And then the last action it can take, lightning arcs forming a 5-foot wide line between two of the layer's solid surfaces that the dragon can see. They must be within 120 feet of the dragon and 120 feet of each other. Each creature in that line must succeed on a DC 15 dexterity save or take 3d6 lightning damage. So it's just like a little mini breath it can do once around.
I mean, that's fucking dope.
Yeah, because it's just a line. It's a 120-foot line.
These are just extras.
That's really powerful, actually.
It kind of reminded me of Witch Bolt a little bit.
Kind of, yeah. Except for Witch Bolt. Does Witch Bolt form a line?
It forms like an arc of some sort.
Okay, yeah, but I think it's single target. This isn't like a straight line.
This is going through
effect.
multiple people.
It is, well, ideally.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Blue Dragon stats. So I pulled up. Yeah, we're about to. So I pulled up the Ancient Blue Dragon stats, and it's a challenge rating of 23. I think that's only one under a Red Dragon.
Yeah.
So very,
that sounds right.
Very close in power. We're looking at a 29 strength, a 27 constitution, an 18 intelligence, a 17 wisdom, and a 21 charisma.
Strong.
Yeah, it's the only thing it's not is dexterous with a 10.
Wonder why that is.
I think because blues are a little bit like bulkier. I think in the sky they're way more dexterous because of their wings, but on ground I think they're a lot
like Komodo dragons.
Blendery. Yeah, I would say so. Immune to lightning. They have dark vision. They have blind sight. They have the legendary resistance that all these dragons have, which is basically 3 times a day. If a dragon fails a saving throw, it can just choose to succeed instead. Its bite is a whopping 2d10 plus 9 piercing damage plus 2d10 lightning damage. So their bite is like tinge. It's like Thunderfang.
Yeah, there we Pokemon.
Go. Yeah, indeed. Their claw is 2d6 plus 9 slashing damage. Their tail is 2d8 plus 9 bludgeoning damage. They have frightful presence. Again, this is something all dragons have, which is basically a dragon can choose each creature within 120 feet of it, and then those creatures have to make a wisdom saving throw to not be frightened.
Oh, man.
It's lightning breath, which recharges on a d6, 5 or 6. Is a 120-foot line, 10 feet wide. Wow, 10 feet wide, not 5 feet wide. Each creature in that line must make a DC 23 dex save or take 16d10 lightning damage.
That's excessive.
Well, I mean, it's an ancient blue dragon.
I mean, the breath attacks are always so potent with these guys.
They really are. And then it also has legendary actions, which we've gone over a few times. I think all dragons have the same legendary actions. They can detect by using a wisdom check, which I don't think any dragon is going to do. It can make an extra tail attack, or it can do a wing attack where the dragon beats its wings, and each creature within 15 feet of the dragon must succeed on a DC 24 dex saving throw, or take 2d6 plus 9 bludgeoning damage and be knocked prone.
Yeah.
And then the dragon can fly up to half its flying speed.
I made you fall over and you got a boo-boo.
Indeed. And I flew away.
Yeah. And I'm gone.
So yeah, that's the blue dragon, Brian. You got any questions about the blue dragon?
It's so meaty.
It's very meaty, boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like, how are you using it in campaign? Like, where you?
I like to use blue dragons as. So okay, you know how you have protagonists and you have antagonists.
Yes.
There's, I think it's called the Deuteronomist. It's like this neutral entity that's like a centerpiece of the story.
Okay.
A Catwoman would be a Deuteronomist. I don't know if I'm saying the word right.
A neutral party, though.
A neutral party that can both work with the protagonist and work against the protagonist, depending on the situation.
Nice.
That's usually how I like to use blues. I like to use blues in a way where like the players will be forced into like a common alliance.
You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
But then the blue might do something that's really detrimental to them too. And you never know what you're getting with the blue because it really walks that line between lawful neutral and lawful evil.
Cool. Okay, so you're not really using it like...
I don't usually use them as like my villains.
Okay. That's not your boss fight. Like it could be a boss fight, but that's not your BBEG.
Exactly. And that's just because I'm biased and I like blue, so I want the blue to not be the bad guy.
Okay, you want to play with your toys.
Exactly. I want to play with my toys. So that's usually how I use blue dragons. But a blue dragon can definitely make a great villain, especially one looking to like establish maybe a draconic empire with itself at the head, which is something blue would probably want to do. A particularly ambitious one because again they're very lawful, so they're going to want this organized society.
There's this element of lethargy about them, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. They lack the ambition that greens have. But like a green is way more likely to do exactly what I just said with the whole empire than a blue.
Because they really do. They remind me of silvers in their like mentalities, except they don't have that drive.
Right.
Like the way I picture silvers, like...
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, silvers are very kind. I think that's their biggest personality trait.
Yeah.
Blues aren't kind, but they're not cruel either, which I think just the contrast between their lack of cruelty and the strong cruelty of all the other chromatics almost makes them seem kind. It's just so drastically different. In comparison.
Not cruel doesn't mean that you're not mean or whatever.
Exactly. And that's something that needs to be remembered. These are evil creatures. You know, I like to try and play up the lawful neutral bit, but I think canonically they're mostly still very evil. It's a little
scary because like dealing with them in like a social way, it's like dealing with like if you're going to be talking to like a devil, like there's something there. Like a devil's gonna like in a lot of scenarios they're gonna be like, no, I'm your best friend. Like let me help you.
Right.
Let me help you. I can get you what you want.
Right. Like, I think blues are actually less devil-like because they're not gonna approach it from that point of view. Again, they're very arrogant. They're gonna lord over you. But they are also reasonable and you can deal with them.
Well, in a situation where you have like two powerful entities like the party and then this creature, I can see them striking a deal,
right?
But you know, they're gonna monkey's paw you.
Oh yeah, they'll probably try. Yeah, absolutely.
Flip the switch on you at some point.
They'll be true to their word, but their word will be worded in such a way that it's dangerous.
Yeah, sign here, please.
Indeed. Well, with that being said, I think we can get ready for a long rest.
Let's get ready to go to bed.
Indeed, and before we do that, I just want to push one more time our live play here on the YouTube channel, and also now a podcast on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Super Quest Saga. If you guys are interested in us here at the Dungeoncast actually playing the game Dungeons and Dragons, you should probably check out our podcast, Super Quest Saga.
Yeah. Do you like sci-fi stuff and not Dungeons and Dragons? It's weird that you're listening to this show. Come watch Super Quest Saga. It's that.
I guess that's true. I think someone who isn't a fantasy fan but is a sci-fi fan might like might like that.
I think they would.
Yeah.
They would just get used to
the
how
fantasy
tabletop
elements.
games work. I guess.
Right.
Like
that's true.
I use fate dice.
I mean, but there are a lot of like fantasy elements. I would say the show is less sci-fi and more just future fantasy.
Future science fantasy.
Yeah, that science fantasy. There we go. Maybe that.
It's sci-fi, like science fiction.
Yeah,
fantasy.
It's somewhere in that family.
Take all the things you said, put them in a blender. Get the player's handbook out. Throw that in there too.
Indeed. But yeah, so go check it out. We'd really appreciate it. And with that being said, I think we can call it a game.
Let's call it a game.
We'll talk to you guys later.